In this video, you'll learn how project amounts are calculated for use on financial and analytic reports. At any point in time, you'll need to see an accurate picture of the financial health of your projects, whether work is proceeding within the budget, projected cost to complete the project, and the total projected revenue. Sage Construction Management has financial and analytical reports that show this information. From the project homepage, click Project Analytics, and notice that you have many different types of dashboards and reports that you can access from this page. We'll go through the general categories in the next couple of videos, but let's start by defining some different terms. For the purpose of this video, we'll talk about all types of totals as applied to a single project and prime contract. In upcoming videos, you'll see reports that cover multiple prime contracts or multiple projects. From the Project Analytics page, click Review Anticipated Costs to open the list of anticipated costs recorded so far. Anticipated costs are an important part of the total financial picture of your project. These are sometimes referred to as accrued costs, and they are costs that you know will be incurred in the course of the project, but that haven't yet been captured under a purchase order, subcontract change order, or labor and equipment budgets for self-performed work. If you skip entering anticipated costs for your project, your projected cost at completion won't accurately reflect your true cost. Just remember that how you enter and track anticipated costs is affected by the option you have selected in Settings, Feature Settings, Procurement, Itemize or Summarize. If you select the Itemize option, you'll need to mark anticipated costs as accounted for when they are realized as time and expense or vendor transactions. If you select the Summarize option, you'll need to delete them from the anticipated costs list. Back on the Project Analytics page, click Review Field % Complete. Use the Field % Complete field to enter a project's estimated completion percentage, as observed by your workforce in the field. These percentages are used to calculate projected labor and equipment costs for the remainder of the project. They do not affect any other cost calculations, such as vendor, or miscellaneous expenses. For example, let's imagine that a concrete cost code's labor and equipment hour budgets are both 100 hours, and you've approved time cards for 50% of those hours. Your remaining labor and equipment hours budget is 50 hours. However, if only 40% of the concrete scope is completed, enter 40% in Field % Complete. The system calculates the labor and equipment productivity for those first 50 hours and determines how many hours are required to complete the work at the new productivity rate. This makes it easy to see the projected cost of labor and equipment to complete this work. This calculation can help you determine whether the project is over or underbilled. Field % Complete entries do not affect the cost of any other resources, such as bills, subcontractor invoices, or miscellaneous expenses. Notice that the grid shows the % complete based on revised budgeted costs. You'll see percentages for the cost to date compared to the total budget, and the cost to date compared to committed costs. These can be quite different, and the next report shows what's included in the committed cost calculation. On the Cost tab, under Analytic Reports, we'll look at the committed cost overview by transaction type. For the purpose of analytic reports, Sage Construction Management defines committed costs as the sum of all purchase orders, subcontracts, subcontract change orders, bills not from purchase orders, employee miscellaneous expenses, labor and equipment time cards, and anticipated costs. These totals are shown by cost code in the Committed Costs column. The cost budget column shows the total cost budget for each job cost code, including the prime contract and any change orders. In the last two columns, you'll see the difference between committed cost and budget, in dollars and as a percentage. Notice that this report has an option to include pending transactions in the report. By default, only approved transactions are shown. Now let's look at another report, the cost-to-date overview by transaction type. This report is similar to the committed cost overview report, but it's based on actual costs. This includes vendor bills whether or not they're related to a purchase order, subcontractor invoices, miscellaneous expenses, labor time cards, and equipment time cards. It does not include committed amounts that have not been invoiced, nor does it include anticipated costs. This report also has the option to show pending amounts, and you can choose to show the subcontractor invoice gross amounts before retainage is deducted. Right below the cost-to-date overview by transaction type, you'll see the cost-to-date overview by transaction type using bill rates. This is very similar to the previous report, but the labor and equipment time card amounts reflect the rates at which the project owner is billed for the time, not the cost budget rate. The projected cost at completion overview shows actual costs to date, plus open balances on purchase orders, subcontracts, and subcontract change orders, plus other remaining labor, equipment, and anticipated costs. This gives you a projected total cost of the project when completed, and it's compared to the revised cost budget, prime contracts plus prime change orders. The cost at completion is different from the cost to complete. Cost at completion is a projected total cost of the project. Cost to complete is a projection of how much more you'll need to spend to complete the project. That is, the revised cost budget minus actual costs. Let's talk about one other type of calculation. On the Project Analytics page, click the Labor tab, and then click the Projected Labor Hour Overview report. The projected labor hours needed to complete a job are calculated by dividing the approved labor time card hours for each cost code by the field % complete. The total projected labor cost is the total approved labor time card cost divided by the approved labor time card hours times the project labor hours. The equipment project hours and costs are calculated in the same manner. In this video, you learned how financial analytic reports determine the amounts shown on the reports. In upcoming videos, we'll look at the available detail reports and BI dashboards in more depth.